I want to inflict some PowerPoint slides on you to try and answer Sorin's question about our standards of competence framework, code of conduct, and ISO 20700. So I'll share my screen and hopefully be able to give you the presentation I'd like to show. Within ICMCI, we have some professional standards that represent a global benchmark for competent, ethical, and transparent consulting. The first of these is our competence framework that defines the knowledge, the skill, and the experience that a consultant needs and aligns those capabilities with good practice in assignment management, which is the ISO 20700 standard. Secondly, we have a code of conduct, which sets the ethical rules of engagement for consultants worldwide, and it aims to protect clients and society. And thirdly, we have our ISO 20700 standard. Just to mention, the standard itself is, of course, the property of the International Standards Organization, ISO, and therefore it's open for use by anybody who buys and gets the ability to use the standard. Within ICMCI, we have developed our self-declaration checklist, which is the implementation method for the standard. And the 20700 checklist is an ICMCI owned thing. So it can only be used by those who've been trained and certified to use the checklist to implement the standard. And it translates the standard into project level application. In other words, the application of the standard to a project. The whole idea is to ensure transparency between the consultant and the client on the assignment to make sure that everybody is actually working on the same thing to the same ends. So competence defines who is capable, the code defines how they behave, and ISO 20000 shows how the work is delivered in practice. Together, these make our ICMCI standards. The framework itself comprises the related knowledge, skills, and experience, like I said before, but enable a consultant to conduct an assignment on their own, unsupervised. It comprises 4 levels that you can see in the dark blue boxes. Business insight and aptitude, that is knowing all about how business is conducted. Practice capabilities, in other words, how consultancy is done and applied. Consultative behavior, in other words, the skills of doing consultancy. The personal skills, the personal behavior. And then the last blue box, ethics and professional conduct, actually providing services in a professional and ethical way. And then the light blue boxes give you a little bit more detail about what each of those particular capabilities actually means. So that's how the competence framework is put together and what it does. Our code of conduct is set to instill confidence in the consulting profession by giving an industry-wide understanding of what is good ethical and professional behavior. So it gives a set of rules of engagement for consultants to communicate the ideals to which we aspire as professionals. It's made up in 5 sections, each of which states a consultant's commitment of responsibility to serve the interests of each of 5 stakeholders in our profession. Firstly, the client, that is actually providing all the work to get the best interest of the client, serving community, so not providing any advice that actually damages society or the environment or whatever. Thirdly, responsibility to serve the organization they work for. That means positively putting forward the image of the organization, but equally acting as a whistleblower if they find their organization is not behaving ethically or professionally. And then the same goes for those that they work with. Again, supporting them, but also, if necessary, calling them to account if they find they are not behaving professionally and ethically. And then lastly, responsibility to the consulting profession. That is a responsibility never to do anything that damages the reputation of management consulting profession. So that's our code of conduct. And now we come to ISO 20700, the standard, guidelines for management consultancy services. These are guidelines for conducting a consultancy assignment, a project. They don't give rules and regulations for how a consultancy company is run or how it's managed. They purely apply to conducting an assignment. Okay, so the standard aims to improve the quality and professionalism of the services that consultants provide, to enhance ethical behavior, and thus to give better value to clients and reduce client risk in engaging a consultant. Some of the things you need to know about ISO 20700, it is a guideline, not a normative standard. So an organization or a person cannot be certified against the standard. It is method and tool agnostic. That is, it does not dictate how you do the job, what approaches you use or what tools you use. It just says what process must be followed to do the assignment. It's applicable to any organization of any type or any size, and it takes a partnership approach. It's to be used in a partnership between client and consultant to agree every stage of the project as it goes through. And it was developed by representatives from 48 countries. So it's been well put together. Before I go into the details of what's in the standard, I'd like to show you basically why it should be adopted universally by everybody, consultants and buyers. For a consultant, it differentiates you in a crowded market. It helps you to stand out from your competitors. It helps you to build trust with clients through showing them a clear process of how you do the job. It reduces the possibility of scope creep, that is, the client demanding more work from you for no more pay than you've already agreed. And it helps to avoid any disputes about the work you've done or the outcomes or the deliverables. And it does help you by feedback mechanisms to improve your performance for the future. For buyers, and I note we do have some consultancy buyers on stream today, so this is a message for you about ISO 20700. It gives you the means to objectively select a consultant and know that they're going to give you good service. It demonstrates how you can have clear accountability and ownership for the work that is done in the project. It reduces your risk of things going wrong during the project, and it enables you to be sure that you'll be treated ethically and assured of the consultant's integrity in the work they do for you. And it helps you demonstrate to your board, to your shareholders, that you followed best practice in procurement, in buying those consultancy services. So what does standard look like? Okay, well, like every standard, it has 3 sections at the beginning that are general and just give you information as to the background of the standard. The list of terms and definitions in ISO 20700 is particularly useful, and it is definitely worth considering at the beginning of any consultancy assignment, because it gives you the standard wording that can be used. So there's no argument about what the wording of a contract means, for instance, because those terms and definitions are clearly defined and explained. Section 4 of the standard gives you the principles and the 12 policies that the standard actually comprises. I'll talk about the 12 policies just now, a bit later. Then we get to the 3 sections of the standard to do with the 3 stages of a consulting process. Contracting, which are the activities aimed at reaching an agreement to provide the management consultancy services. So what will be done, how it will be done, who will do it, what responsibilities are, what the roles are, and also, of course, how much is going to be charged for the work. Section 6 is about the execution or the performance, the actual assignment management carrying out the project itself. Section 7, closure, the activities that end the assignment between the consultant and the client to make sure that everything is finished off properly to everybody's mutual satisfaction. Each of those last 3 sections, 5, 6, and 7, comprises 5 headings, starting with the general, which actually just explains what that particular section is about and what's in it, followed by a statement of purpose, why that particular section is there, followed by the input, what actually contributes to this section. For instance, in the contracting phase, the inputs would be things like maybe a preliminary assessment by the consultant, telephone calls and email records of discussions about what needs to be done and proposals from the consultant. The outcome then will be whatever documents or whatever agreements are produced that set the scene for the assignment to be carried out, and then maybe the detailed contents of those particular documents that are stated in the outcome. Now, the ICMCI self-declaration checklist takes all of the clauses and the policies of the standard and converts them into an implementation approach. So it takes the 12 policies, which are in turn awareness of regulatory framework. Are there any regulations which will impact on the work that's to be done? Stakeholder engagement and commitment. Who are the stakeholders in this project? How will they be brought in, communicated to, and engaged? The code of ethical professional conduct, so that it will be a statement of which code will be used. It may be the consultant code, which is our ICMCI code, or maybe the client has their own code, which they would like to impose. Project governance, how the project will be governed and managed to make sure that it follows the right path. Capability, a demonstration that the consultant has the capability to do the job, or the consultants if it's a team, and also that the client team has the capabilities to be able to respond and do their job, their part of the job. What the communication methods will be and how they will be used. How data will be protected and confidentiality will be seen. how intellectual property will be protected in the project, how social responsibility will be exercised so society and environment is not damaged, how health and safety will be considered so that nobody gets damaged during the course of the project, how risk and quality will be managed during the project, and lastly, whatever guarantees might be offered by the consultant. Those are the 12 policies within the standard, and those are all what are considered within the checklist of ICMCI. It covers the 3 phases of contracting, execution, and closure, and it allows the consultant and the client to work at 3 different levels, depending on the complexity of the job and what is agreed between the consultant and the client. It could stop at first level, which is just the set of agreed documents that have been discussed and agreed between consultant and client. And it could just be nothing but a statement of what those documents are. And then those documents, of course, will be recorded within the project documentation. But it may, in a slightly more complex project, or if the client demands this, go to a second level where the actual topics that are covered, the policies that are covered within those documents are specified as well. So, for instance, in the contracting phase, rather than just saying there will be a contract, then it will say the contract will contain these clauses. And then there'll be roles and responsibilities, the project plan, the deliverables, the expected outcomes, and so on and so on. Or it could go to a third level where detailed contents against each of those topics will be shown. But the idea of the standard and the checklist is between consultant and client, they choose and agree how much detail they want to go into. So it could be on a very simple project, it's nothing but an email exchange. It could be on a highly complex project with different countries, different sites, big teams of consultants. It could be a very detailed contract, terms of reference, project plan, and all sorts of things. So it's up for agreement between consultant and client. I think I've spoken for far too long, but hopefully I've given you some information. If you have any questions, I know this presentation will be circulated afterwards, so you can look at it in detail, and I'm sure we'll cover it in questions and answers later on anyway. So, Sorin, back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. I think that you put together the theoretical part, the administrative part, and something which is useful for the consultants. I would like to, before asking Dwight about his view, I want to recall a little bit the debates around the position that ICMCI should have had in line with developing the standard. So that time I was the chair of ICMCI, I think it was 2016 or maybe early 2017 when the standard was approved. And there are 2 sides. One side, do we have Canadians around maybe? The Canadians said, no, it's too soft. Should be tougher, stronger, very clear. We have to beat them. The other side, I don't want to mention, there were several countries said, no, it's too tough. So we are not regulated profession. We want just to give something. It took us, as ICMCI, most probably 3 or 4 months to get together to a conclusion. And what we have on the table, it's a guideline, as you are saying. It's not an ISO 9001 or 14001 or 18001 or whatever you have that you are certified against it, but gives all the room necessary to develop the management consulting mission. In my view, we have the problem of spreading the contents and the spirit of the standard, not only towards our colleagues, the management consultants, but also in relationship with the clients. And this is something that we are still, after 8 years, 9 years nearly since the standard was approved, is still long way to go, and has several understanding why it's like that. Dwight, what do you think about the standard?
I think it is, well, first of all, Nick laid it out very, very well. So for us to have the ability to detail what it means to deliver a management consulting program or service is really, really important. When I have a bit of a presentation later, and when we talk about that, I'll make the distinction between the industry and the profession. So the industry is very large. In 2024, it for the first time ever exceeded $1 trillion. Management consulting is about 40% of that, as measured by our own internal people through the NCI. But what the difference is there is those individuals who are selling time for money. So they're basically out there, they're retired, they're between jobs, they want to pick up some extra income. So it's very easy to print a business card and say, I'm a consultant. But that just means that they're available and they're selling their expertise for a certain amount of money. The first step in becoming a professional is ISO 20700, because it talks about what is management consulting. How do you deliver a management consulting project, and what does it mean to deliver that? Then the next step, of course, is the CMC. So I think it's incredibly important in terms of setting that baseline.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. And if we remember very well the discussions, everybody wants something that should help them to get more work, more money. While we are saying that, okay, we have something to define what professionalism is, how it looks, but we have to link it also to the ethical behavior. And this is something that is not easy to be solved. Starting from the independence at the beginning, a client acceptance, so you don't accept all the clients for various reasons, but in this fight of finding work and finding money, it's not so easy. So I think that it's a long story that we are living. Anyway, we are preparing the second period of evaluating the standard. We have Robert Bodenstein, that couldn't make it with us today, that is representing actually ICMCI in this equation, so preparing. The first, after first 5 years, was no change. Now we know that there are discussions about how to improve the standard, what is going on, and of course we are going to keep you posted. Keep, first of all, the ICMCI members, but also the profession itself, because it's obvious that our target as ICMCI, now I'm speaking not as AMCOR, is to be the voice of the profession, more or less. And this is something that you can do it by sharing the values with everybody. Thank you, Dwight. Nick, do you want to add something on this? We lost Nick. No, he's there.
Let me unmute my microphone. No, I wholeheartedly agree with what Dwight has said. There are some major differences between what we might call the consulting profession and the consulting industry in terms of our approach to why we do consultancy and what we aim to get out of it, whether we are profit orientated or whether we are truly professionally orientated. And I think what we have within our ICMCI standards, and particularly the 20,700 standard, is a demonstration of the right way to go.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. On the other hand, among other liberal professions, we have to remember that we are not a necessary evil. I'm sorry for our colleagues, which are auditors, whatever business evaluators, which are required by law in various areas. we are not, nobody's pushing us. We have only one country in the world, which is Austria. In order to perform the profession, to do the job related to a profession, you should be member of the professional associations. All the others are very liberal, and everybody wants to reach Austrian level in this respect. However, in order to get money, get paid by our clients, we have to add value. And this is something that differentiate our profession from whatever other liberal professions, including lawyers, notaries, whatever else you can invent. We have to live in this way. Anyway, so let's step by step to move to the next, how to link the past, the present to the future. We are living in a period where the speed of change is so high and the new things coming over us are so many and with such a high speed that sometimes we feel like we cannot cope with all the challenges and all the things which are moving. When we started to discuss the format of today's webinar, I spoke with both gentlemen, but I had in mind that a few months ago when the annual meeting of ICMCI was organized together with the conference of ICMCI in Shanghai in China, we had a round table. We had a chance to have in the same room four chairpersons of ICMCI, one in position and three former. And it's obvious that that discussion inspired us that we have to be more and more closer to what is going on and try to shape the future of our profession. So I know that Dwight in the last years has entered also in teaching and preparing high level educated people, and is trying. Of course, everybody has a question: why should we do that? And I'm coming back to a 10 years ago conference in Seoul, in South Korea, where the people were asking in the room, okay, if AI that is going to show up is going to do a lot of IT work, should we push our children to learn IT? And the answer was very simple to me. Okay, I was with the head of IBM Cognitive, which was a very strong person. And of course, he gave a political answer. I said, before that, I want to give you something. I'm coming from a communist country, and we had a problem with the religion during the communist time. And we said, in order to criticize the Bibles, first of all, you should read it. It's the same story with the IT. In order to understand what's happening, you should be close to what means and how it works. The same story with AI today. So, Dwight, what do you want to tell us about? You have a presentation also, I know. You can share it.
Okay, I will do that. I first want to thank you formally for that introduction. I really appreciate that. And I also appreciate the invitation and the ability to talk to all of you. It's a pleasure to do that. The material I want to give you is drawn from one chapter of my book that Sorin so kindly mentioned, the consulting through uncertainty, and it talks about the consulting profession of the service of the future. Um, the reason I said service is it was going through my mind that one of the ways I give back is to talk to MBA classes whenever I can. I just love the energy in a room of people that are just starting out on their careers and thinking of where they want to go. And these are typically classes where there's some element of learning about what consulting is. So I present on the future of consulting there, and I'm sort of drawing on that as well for what I want to do today. But Sorin said only one slide. I usually use about 20, so we agreed on four, but I just want to give you the highlights of what I see as the key elements. Yeah, when could you ever find a management consultant that would only come with one slide, right, Sorin?
That's one of the problems of the profession, yeah.
Can everyone see the slide there now?
Yeah.
Good, excellent.
Yes, it's clear.
So the starting point is really that the pace of change is increasing. Sorin just so rightfully said that the change is speeding up, and it's not only that change is speeding up, but the pace by which it speeds up is changing significantly, and we have evidence of that just over society over the last years. If you think back to one of the major changes in the way we deal with each other around the world, airlines. From the time airplanes were first invented until they became commonly used was 68 years. Jump ahead a few decades to television, it took 22 years for adaptation.
Poate trebuie să mai suporți această limbă puțin că
Cine
e o
vorbește
știință
de
de
ce?
alutat.
We having trouble with the translation?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, good. I just had some overlay there for a minute. So if you think about those things, I just will put on the screen very quickly a graph that I pulled together for my book, which shows all of these things and the increasing pace of change, and that's continuing with ChatGPT now enhanced change. It's getting incredibly fast, and what we need to think about is that the major shift in terms of how executives think about change happened during COVID, when disruption went across all industries and around the world. Executives, boards realized how quickly it is possible for organizations to successfully adapt to change. Many didn't, many failed, but those who did succeed were successful and were leaders of the pack. And there's an intention and a desire to be able to continue replicating that. So what does that mean for us consultants? It means if the learning curve is faster in our client organizations, we have to be even faster than that to stay ahead of the curve so that we can continue to add that all-important value. The second point is that is about disruption, and disruption really is here to stay. All of the tools that are available through IT, through increased accessibility across markets, through the ability to deliver services for we as consultants virtually, it's changing the way the marketplace works. And if you think about the way that change takes place now, organizations are increasingly aware of disruption. The steady state doesn't cut it anymore. You need to be continuing to think about how do I stay leading edge if I want to be among the most successful companies. And again, the message to us as management consultants is how do we stay ahead of that curve? How do we anticipate that? How do we answer questions which haven't been asked before? These are really important for us as a profession to be thinking about. And the third point is around digitization and virtualization. So I referred to that a little bit in point 2, and the two are kind of related. But if we think about digitization, this is the ability to deliver services, to automate things. Up until 2 years ago, that pace of change was also increasing. Organizations were continually using IT and other methods of automation to become more effective, more efficient. But with the acceptance of artificial intelligence in terms of tools like ChatGPT and all the many tools, I don't know about you, but my inbox is always filling up with new initiatives in the marketplace about how to make our work easier. So digitization is increasing the ability to disrupt and making it easier for those who aren't changing and staying ahead of the curve to be disrupted. And the virtualization, the ability to meet with people in any part of the world, as we are today, people from around the world are coming together to share information and to share ideas. The same thing is happening in our client organizations. They are able to communicate globally. And more importantly, they are able to access expertise, staff expertise, hiring employees from anywhere in the world if there's that specific expertise that they need. And guess what? That also applies to consultants. The future of consulting is that client organizations can find consultants that have that specialized type of expertise that they need and hire them wherever in the world that they are. So that competition that we have as management consultants is increasing, and we need to be able to stay ahead of the curve again as consultants. So this is leading to what I call the Uberization of consulting. Consulting is increasingly seen as something that is available. And because so many out there that are selling themselves as consultants, it creates confusion in the minds of the client organizations. If they have an initiative, they have need of special expertise, they can go to all kinds of websites to find people who are quotation marks consultants who can help them with that. What we need to be sure as a profession is that we do not allow our profession to be commoditized. Our added value is through things like ISO 20700 and our certification process, through which we can demonstrate that we have that diagnostic capability to provide insights into problems, to get to root cause problems in organizations that those who are selling time for money aren't able to do. They're very good if you need to implement a new ERP and you hire somebody that's done that before. They can come in and do that for you, but they're not going to be diagnosing the underlying cause or how to use that most effectively. So that's perhaps one of the key points I'd like to make there, is that we as a profession need to really figure out how it is that we demonstrate that added value. And I'll wind that up at the end with my closing comment. The fourth thing I talked about, and the first edition of the book came out before ChatGPT did. So even though I was talking about the impact of artificial intelligence is just beginning, and even now with ChatGPT, 2+ years old, and all of the other tools that we have, they are providing huge advantages to us. I know myself as a consultant. I've increased my efficiency. I can't measure it exactly, but I would say 30 to 40% by automating through AI assistance a lot of the work that I found repetitive, boring, and so on. So what used to take me a day to do, I might be able to do in 2 hours now with that kind of support. What I want to underline here, though, is make the point that the AI that we have today, and in my view, for the immediate future, probably the foreseeable future, is that you're not able to automate professional work. And the reason is that AI now, the way it's developed through its learning systems, is finding the best knowledge and identifying and bringing that in a usable way to us. So it's extremely helpful as an incredibly bright and talented but completely naive assistant. It can do that, but it does not have that diagnostic capability to create new knowledge or to solve problems in the unique way that each organization needs to provide them. So in some ways, the AI tools become something that many see can help them instead of a management consultant. And I say, no, that's absolutely not possible, because AI tools cannot have that diagnostic capability. They don't have the problem-solving capability that we as human beings in advanced thinking have. So I could talk all day about that one, but I just wanted to underline that point, that it's a major impactor for us, but we can use it as a tool. So all of that to say that if we're thinking about the consulting profession of the future and we want to build on that profession and we want to strengthen it, we have to think about collaboration. In the first chapter of the book, I talk about professional organizations overall, and the fact that professional organizations are in trouble. It's increasingly difficult for all professional organizations to find members and to get members. And many say this applies to consulting as well. And I would say that it's the exact opposite. Given what's happening in our societies around the world, we need to collaborate more than ever. If we want to stay ahead of the curve, I use that word a lot, that phrase a lot. If we want to be those leading edge consultants that can bring value to our clients, we need to collaborate. We need to share information. We need to help each other learn so that we as a profession are able to provide the kinds of services that our clients have come to expect and will expect in the future. And we need to embrace change. So the future of consulting is getting on board and doing that. Don't ignore the new AI tools that are out there. Embrace them, learn them, use them, so that we can help our clients to figure out how to embrace them, learn from them, and use them. We really need to collaborate in terms of how do we share information and how do we learn what we need to be able to do to move forward. And that means thinking of different ways of doing things. So we in the profession, as institutes around the world, really need to think about how do we attract members, how do we ensure that they understand what we're talking about when we talk about code of conduct and ISO 20700 and the CMC designation. So the two elements that we formalized are the mark of ISO 20700, the delivery of management consultancy services in a completely transparent way, and the certified management consultant, the designation of the ability of someone to deliver successful consulting projects on their own. The final point I would make, and another reason for the importance of the CMC, is that we have around the world over, I mentioned 1 trillion in revenue, according to IBISWorld. There's over 7 million employees. Those are consultants, and there's 3 million businesses. So think about those last two numbers: 7 million employees, 3 million businesses. If you think of the 10 largest management consulting firms in the world, they account for $500 million of that revenue. So the other 500 million is made up of management consulting firms that are relatively small. They're 1 or 2 person shops who are delivering services to small, medium-sized businesses, providing boutique expertise to larger businesses in the Fortune 500 types of companies. But they are individual. They don't have a large inside training program. So the CMC is that designation of capability of a management consultant that we, who work in relatively small firms, are able to use to demonstrate that competence. So I just wanted to end on that and say that I really do see the importance of our institutes and of these designations in terms of how we collaborate and providing this as a forum for us to work. And thank you to you, Sorin, for this forum, because I think it's incredibly important that we get people from around the world to share these ideas.
Thank you very much, Dwight. Now I remember that it started like an initiative at the local level. Then we said if we have 2 very good speakers, okay, maybe 2.5 with me, maybe it's not a bad idea to share it with all the others. And thank you, Rima and Kuzaima, for sharing it. And we see that we have much more foreigners than locals, not much more, but a little bit more. Anyway, yeah, life is moving very fast. I agree. I totally agree with what Dwight is saying. For many years, we are not really in disagreement in some areas, but we like to talk each other with defending our positions. But I think that AI, like IT, it's just a tool. For us as management consultants, we should be on the edge. We should be very close to what's happening now. All the technical tools or AI tools, IT tools, whatever should be used. And we have to educate our clients how to best use that thing. So I had access to a very recent study done by a startup in London to very big organizations, including banks, commercial organization, as well as national health system regarding AI. And they have learned that what is the need is the basic need of understanding the AI, not a very complicated one, because the people are using the AI as covering everything, but they don't understand how it's working, how it can be used, and actually how they can implement that into their work. And most probably, most of us, we have the same problem at our level. And you can learn quite difficult this thing. In 2010, I have been asked to speak, or maybe later, 2011, in Greece. They said, what can we do? We are in a deep crisis. What should we do? And they said, let's see how we are going to use the IT. The IT is not solving the problem. You should use it in order to generate some added value, something new. I looked 2 years ago on the presentation that I have prepared in 2011. And if I'm replacing IT with AI, I can do the same presentation without changing any other word. So I think that the life is reinventing itself somehow. However, we should use the tools. I agree. And just before passing, Nick, prepare yourself. When we have that discussion, which was 10 years ago in Seoul, it was my first deep contact with Watson machine, which is an IBM product, which is really very, very useful. It's a neuronal computer. It's very nice that that guy, that I still owe him a bottle of wine or two, said something like that. In order to understand what we have today, it's augmented intelligence. What is going to come, but look at me and say, maybe we don't going to see that, is the artificial intelligence. Now we are using artificial intelligence. And to understand very well the differences between the two, I'm giving you an example from the movies. Everybody knows Iron Man. He's some sort of augmented intelligence, so has a lot of tools which are helping him to be faster, stronger, reacting better, and so on. Artificial intelligence is Lieutenant Data from Star Trek that has his own decisions, his own even feelings. So I think that this is something that we don't have to forget. So don't disarm in front of the AI. We have to use it as much as possible. And of course, to be prepared for the moment when the artificial is going to, I don't know how it's going to clash that. Nick, what do you think about the, do we have a future? Of course.
Yeah, of course we have a future. The big question is, what will that future look like? I totally agree and endorse what Dwight has said in every aspect. I mean, unfortunately, though, AI is already beginning to creep into a lot of work that consultancy does. It is already becoming a replacement for a lot of consultancy work, depending on how you describe consulting, of course. If you don't mind, I'd like to just show a couple of slides to enlarge on what Dwight has been talking about, and I'm hoping that they will appear on the screen correctly this time round. I don't know whether that's happening or not.
Yes, it's great.
Okay, super.
And colored.
So, I mean, to me, at this time, more than any other time in our history, the short history of our profession, we stand at a critical point, an inflection point. We are being reshaped, and we will continue to be reshaped by 4 major impacts. One, of course, is AI. This is going to have a major impact on our future, but also changing workforce dynamics. The way people work now, the way consultants work, the way businesses work, are all changing, and social demands are changing. Geopolitical fragmentation. You only have to look at the news every day to see the chaos that is being created around the world politically. And of course, our clients are changing as well. Their expectations nowadays are totally different to what they were when our profession started. I used my good friend artificial intelligence to do for me a pestle analysis of the trends that are shaping our profession, and it came up with 4 possible scenarios for the future. Scenario 1, which is the augmented profession, AI augments the profession, which means obviously we embrace it and we use it, but also our profession coheres. It works together in the collaboration that Dwight talked about. Scenario 2, the fragmented landscape. AI continues to augment our consultancy work, but the profession fragments and doesn't manage that collaboration, that cohesion that we talked about. Scenario 3, the hollowed middle, where AI actually replaces the greater part of consultancy and the remnant of the profession coheres together. And then scenario 4, the great displacement, where AI replaces consultancy and the profession fragments into a whole lot of disparate things going on that nobody will understand and nobody will trust. So for me, as Dwight actually said, and I'll say it in different words, the future of consulting will be determined not by technology, but by how successfully we adapt our value proposition from a state of information asymmetry, in other words, knowing the things that clients don't know, to judgment asymmetry, making better decisions with the same information. That's where we have to go in our profession. And to do that, we need to be aware of the strategic implications. Like Dwight said, we have to embrace AI. We have to change our value proposition to evolve to what the marketplace will now see as value. We have to maintain our stance that the independence and objectivity of consultants is priceless, that fragmentation of our profession is the greatest threat facing us, and that stakeholder engagement with everybody to whom our profession has an impact have to be engaged. Now, what do we do over the next 2 to 3 years? Late in February this year, the board of ICMCI will be meeting face-to-face in Vienna for 2 days to hold a strategy meeting. In that meeting, we must come up with our future direction and how we're going to move towards a future for ICMCI and the profession which is positive and sustainable and beneficial to us and to the clients. We need to decide what our actions are going to be. We need to find ways of increasing the probability of scenario 1 happening. How do we position ICMCI as an authority on ethical AI? What do we do to make clients demand CMC certification more? And how do we engage the consultants in the gig economy? That is, those consultants that Dwight talked about who are not in the big companies, but those that the bigger share of our profession who work on their own or in small partnerships and who rely on what we call the gig economy of consultancy to pick up their work. I have a challenge for the 75 people who are online today. We have a meeting of our board in February in Vienna to decide our future strategy. My challenge to you is, can you provide us with your thoughts about the future for ICMCI? Can you send to us, before our meeting takes place, your ideas so that we can take them on board? There will be 12 people in that meeting in February, 12 very good brains, but online today we have 74 very good brains. And the saying goes that 2 heads are better than 1. 74 are better than 12. So my request to you is, please take what you've heard today, take the discussions that are going to happen now, and do feed into us for our strategy meeting in February. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. When I spoke for the first time with Dwight on this webinar, Dwight put a very straight question saying, what do we want to promote? And the answer is we want to promote the profession, nothing else. We are not selling anything. We are just putting on the table issues that we are facing and the issues that we have to solve it in the future. What we haven't mentioned, Nick, because you put ICMCI into the picture, which makes very much sense. We haven't mentioned that every year ICMCI for the last 2 years, this is going to be the third, has issued a number of white papers. Yes, we have a white paper on AI, which was issued 2 years ago. Robert Bodenstein is responsible for putting them together. And then last year we had about sustainability. I think that this year we are going to, I'm not allowed to put on the table the name of the new white paper, but it's going to be another white paper where we are trying to cover the biggest problem that not only the profession, but the economy and the social component are facing these days. Okay. Dwight, do you want to add something on this?
I would like to, yes. Thank you, Nick. Thanks for screen capture too, because those are some very good points you were making. I like those. I'd like to make one comment. I think we are at scenario 1 now, Nick, in terms of that the scenarios that you showed us on that slide. So we are augmented. We know we're augmented, and in fact, we all have the first augmentation tool that we've been carrying for a long time. This is augmented intelligence. I don't have to remember my appointments. I don't have to remember exactly everybody's birthdays and so on. I have a machine that will tell me that. It can also help me find the best route home if there's heavy traffic. So it's very useful and it helps me. So there was a study in late 2024 looking at the management consulting profession, and it predicted that AI would replace 30% of the consulting profession. I personally think that number is a little low, but we can talk about that. And my point that I want to make on that is you need to be careful about what that actually means and what it might mean in organizations as well. So that means that there's 30% of the work of management consulting that can be replaced by artificial intelligence. So if we're in a 1 or 2 person shop, that 30% of work which we used to do that wasn't really very value added, it's data analysis, it's writing reports, it's doing the blogs, it's whatever, that can be totally augmented and made more easily and faster and more effective using artificial intelligence. If you're a PwC, as they recently did, talking about the thousands that they're laying off, those 30% can be pulled together. So if all of your workforce of, say, 1,000 is 30% more effective, you need 30% less consultants to deliver the same work. So we're not replacing the diagnostic capability of consultants to do their professional work. We're replacing those aspects of consulting which are repetitive, what I call level 1 work. It's procedural work that is better actually being as more effective and as efficient as it possibly can. So if we bear that in mind, we're also helping our clients. How do they use these tools to improve the effectiveness of their workforce so that they're offloading that 25 or 30% of their time that's not spent on value-added work and being able to focus on really advancing the organization in the way that they best can. So I really appreciate those 4 scenarios, Nick, and I think it's right, and it's up to us as a profession to figure out which one of those paths we're going to be on.
Now it's clearly that one of the strong debates was, do we need youngsters? Of course we need, and we have
More
to
than
push
ever.
them to grow quicker and take responsibilities quicker and so on. Every chair of ICMCI had a side role, which is to know all the jokes about consultants. management consultants. You know that very well, yeah? And one of the criticisms that we have always received is that we are deploying a lot of youngsters at the client, asking all sorts of things and writing reports, which is not the case anymore. It's obvious that the youngsters are much more adaptable of using the new tools, and they are pushing also us the more experience, and we can deliver them the experience, the capacity of analyzing the data, looking at the things and trying to make it working better. So I think that this is a major change in the way in which we should look at the profession itself. After a period when you're totally right, the big companies were deploying, and then you know the joke that I'm paying the partner, so I want to see the work of the partner. I'm talking about the large firms somehow. It's obvious that we need to adapt and we need to push the things and to go together. Okay, what else? Nick, anything else? Or should we move to see if how the people are going to criticize us?
Just to say, Sorin, I've put in the chat box a response to a question where to send all your emails to. I'm happy to receive them personally, but please copy in our secretariat as well. So Nick.Warren and also cmc-global@cmcglobal.org.
In the chat,
Rima. In the chat, yeah, it's in the chat.
Yes, except the Nick that put his email address, the CMC Global email address. Rima, our executive director of CMC Global, has put the links to the two white papers that I have mentioned, so you can download them or find them on the website. So they are publicly available, but maybe some of you haven't heard about them. They are very, very, very strong documents and very actual documents, whatever is happening. Okay, so we have that. We have Dwight. We have Nick that was very open to get. Actually, he used the event to train himself for the board meeting in February. I could see that. He spoke to us like speaking to the board. So use also some of the, which is good. I'm happy to see that. Okay, we have also, I think I've seen Alfred Hartl around. So the Austrians are spying you. Take care. Anyway, so let's stop here and move to questions, debates, whatever you want to say, put it on the table. Alexandra, you look at those which are raising the hand or trying to say something and give them some priority in the way how they are asking. So I think that Nick is okay, Dwight is okay, I'm okay, so we can answer any question. You don't have enough questions to how many answers we have. Yeah. I don't believe that there are no questions. I don't believe there are no questions. Yeah. Can be in Romanian. We have the translation. So if it's in Romanian, we'll wait a few seconds that our guests are moving to the English channel.
Questions and also comments, I think, Sorin.
Yes, everything. Criticize us. Tell us that we are totally wrong. We haven't understood anything from life. That's it.
Am eu o întrebare, bună ziua.
Salut, Alin, așteaptă puțin să... Dorin, te-ai trezit, da? Ok. Te rog.
Acest standard în România, până acum, este aplicabil, e certificat de cineva, de un organism de certificare?
Deci, Nick, I'm going to answer to this. It's easier. Standardul 20.700 nu este un standard certificabil, este un guideline. Este pe lista, bine mersi, a standardelor ISO, e adoptat la noi și comitetul care se ocupă TC 56 de modificarea standardelor îl are și ăsta pe listă. Nici măcar nu e tradus în limba română. Este încă în limba engleză, dar este acolo. Noi l-am cumpărat în prima zi, ca să facem vânzare, da. Una peste alta, cred că e rolul AMCOR-ului să vândă standardul mai departe, să se ducă către autorități, către clienți, să explice de fapt ce așteaptă de la un consultant.
Da, Sorin, dar lucrul ăsta de a aduce într-o piață, nu mai contează, un standard, e destul de dificil.
Da, asta am zis și noi, are 9 ani și mai așteptăm vreo 10 până când se obișnuiește lumea. Pe de altă parte, ce e acolo este o chestie pe care ar trebui toată lumea să o urmărească, fie că e client, fie că este consultant. Să înțeleagă ce are de făcut, începând de la faptul că noi suntem independenți în relația, cum e accent clientul, ce așteptări am, cum se întâmplă lucrurile. Fazele sunt foarte bine descrise în standard și de-aia l-am rugat pe Nic să ne facă o scurtă prezentare a conținutului standardului. El nu e foarte mare, dar e ok.
Am înțeles. Mulțumesc frumos!
Plăcere.
Sorin, we have a question in the chat. Consultants and clients do not see value in CMC. What is ICMCI USP? I can't answer you that exactly at the moment, but I will say we are in the middle, as a board, of developing statements of value proposition for clients and for consultants and for consultancy buyers, funding organizations. We need to have an endorsement of those at our strategy meeting, and then I will make sure that they are published so that everybody will be able to see those statements of USP that we want to put forward as ICMCI.
Okay, thank you, Nick. So you can ask questions in the chat if you.
My dear Sorin, I have a remark. And
Oh
maybe
my God, himself.
It's not necessary that you call me. Oh my God, it's just necessary. Call Alfred.
Now, for those that don't know, Alfred was the head of the Austrian organization, which much bigger than just the management consulting, everything, for so many years that I don't remember. 1 year ago, he decided to quit, and now he's back because couldn't stay too much away from this subject.
No, and I add, I'm now the president of FIACO in Europe. So
exactly. So it's the firms association.
I'm very interested to get Europe in the first line as front runner worldwide. So we have strategy meeting next week. So I hope to learn something now. And I have some remarks to our presentation here. Perhaps we should differentiate between first strategy for the management consulting market and ICMCI worldwide. Second, maybe training for AI, because I always recognize that we mix a little bit how to tell the people that I know what AI is. I hope that all consultants know that by now, and how to tell our management consultants how can you earn money, how can you get a bigger market for your company. So first, strategy for management consulting and ICMCI. Second, maybe training for AI through ICMCI. And third, maybe how do we do business with it? And the most important question for me is, what does the CMC have to do with it? Because we always forget the CMC, which is our brand label. And many people ask me, now I'm the CMC, 5 years, 10 years, you have all these questions, I think, from your members, but nobody gives me business. So this is a main goal. And together with AI, I think, we should have a mixed strategy to tell the people, if you get a CMC in your office, in your company, you can be sure that you have this point in AI. Maybe this is a remark, maybe this is an idea to go forward. And I think we should not mix what do we know about AI and strategy. These are totally two different things. Thank you.
Thank you, Alfred. I think that one quick answer is that the ICMCI Services Inc., which is going to be the commercial arm of ICMCI, commercial. Okay, the spreading the knowledge, more or less, the tool to spread the knowledge is becoming functional very soon. So we have passed all the hurdles, or nearly all the hurdles before that. And most probably, AI is going to be on the top of the needs. And of course, many other things, but we are going to share that level. So I think that, as I said, we start from the low level and then bringing more knowledge and so on. The good thing is that we have the people around the organization which are doing that. So it's going to be not very complicated to spread it. And Dwight said something that, not today, but he said, okay, it's very complicated. Now there are so many learning courses, learn whatever you can learn, whatever you want from YouTube and so on. Which is our value proposition? It's very simple. I think we have agreed together most probably, and Dwight, please correct me if I'm wrong. We are bringing the experience and we are bringing the knowledge of the things which are really happening and the capacity to link them and to develop. So this is one thing. The second, I think that Nick has mentioned already that we are preparing something to go further, which is the value proposition and what's happening. CMC, everybody wants to get much more work and hoping that the CMC is going to give them more work. Not even in Austria. I'm happy that you haven't been online when I have mentioned a few things about Austria, so I don't want to repeat them now. But it's obvious that everybody wants to have, okay, I'm going to get a certification. What's in it for me in terms of work, money, whatever it's at the end. That's a very complicated story, and this is something that I feel I'm receiving this question since 15 years ago. I remember Gert that was keep asking me the question. It seems that you are following him very well in this respect. I'm not in the position, so Nick has to answer today, so I'm the happy side of it.
Yeah.
Nick and the board. However, I think that what ICMCI is doing in order to promote the professionalism and the ethics, it's something which is really valuable. And this is something that many of the others are not looking at. But I think that we are getting a little bit too much far away. Nick, do you want to say something?
Yeah, just a very quick addition to what you said, Sorin. For many years in ICMCI, we have tried to sell CMC to consultants. I think recently we've begun to realize that actually we need to sell the CMC value to clients, people who buy consultancy. Because when clients see the benefit and start insisting, then more consultants will become CMC. When ISO 9001, the quality management standard, was introduced, the only reason that everybody took it up was that governments, followed by big companies, insisted that it was used, and then everybody had to follow suit. We need to do the same with CMC. It starts at the top with governments and big consultancy buyers. We need to persuade them of the value of CMC, of ISO 20700, and then we might see some positive movement for us.
Okay. Dwight?
Sorin?
Yes.
Yeah, I see Dr. Bezia asked a question in the chat to me, so maybe I'll quickly read that and then answer it if that's okay.
Okay.
So with AI becoming increasingly important with the pricing of consultancy assignments, in the future will have to become lower and lower with time. This is what's happening to IT now. So I think to answer that question, we need to think about what is consulting work, and we have to focus in on the value added work that we're bringing. So it is around that value added work, the diagnostic capability to solve unique problems in unique situations. So what AI is doing in our profession now, I think, is a bit different from IT, which has become commoditized because systems are getting cheaper. But in what's happening now is if we use our AI tools, we can spend more time on our value-added work. So more time on that diagnostic stuff and less time on the work that's not value-added. So over time, I think I can be more efficient in providing services to clients. I wouldn't raise or lower my rates, but I would be providing, I think, more value to the clients in the same amount of time, or provide the same amount of value in less time. So I think it's not so much in terms of what is the of prices going down. It's how do we increase value and make sure that we're focusing in on the best work going forward.
Thank you, Dwight.
I would like to add something, Sorin, to something that Dwight said, and also mainly what Nick had said also, that not only do we need to sell our services and the CMC to the governments, but we also need to look at strategies to sell to the development agencies, which employ a lot of consultants. And the development agencies in the big countries, and their development agencies at the international level. So I just wanted to raise that point, that I would absolutely agree that we need to get our clients to see the value of the CMC certification.
Thank you, Norma. I think that this is an issue that also my colleagues from AMCOR are considering in order to putting it in front of the public entities which are buyers of consulting, because they have to learn what they should look at and so on. And I think that is the job of AMCOR to do that. Okay, it should go also to the private clients. But that's a little bit more complicated because there are many and various and so on. While there, if you talk about public, as you said, development agencies and so on. I think that the relationship that ICMCI has developed with EBRD, just to give you an example, I think was very useful to be enlarged to other agencies and the international financial institution, because they have to know how they think that they know, but they have to understand better the process of procurement. Okay. Anything else?
Dacă îmi permiți, domnul moderator, aș vrea să revin puțin la ce a spus colegul nostru Alin puțin mai devreme. Alin a pornit de la premiza de a ne crea acest standard eventual un avantaj competitiv, de a fi un standard reglementat, astfel încât dacă noi l-am aplica, evident, ca orice businessman, să ne creăm un avantaj competitiv. Eu consider, și fără să fiu avocatul acestui standard, pentru că voi ați fost mai mult decât avocați, ați prezentat foarte bine și ați venit cu argumente covârșitoare, e clar că acest standard oricum transează niște linii directoare pentru serviciile noastre de consultanță și e bine să le aplicăm, dar nu este doar pentru serviciile de consultanță. Acest standard este clar că este de interes comun și pentru mediul academic, pentru mediul de afaceri, clar că este, dar, așa cum spuneați mai devreme, trebuie să convingem cumva și sectorul public și trebuie să implicăm și pe ei cumva să înțeleagă, să cunoască acest standard, pentru că doar cumva dacă gândim împreună putem să dăm valoare exactă acestui standard. Mie mi-e clar că în ziua de azi consultanța joacă un rol esențial în dezvoltarea organizațiilor. Fie că vorbim de fundamentarea deciziilor strategice, de optimizarea proceselor, de implementarea schimbării, practic în orice domeniu astăzi ai nevoie de consultanță. Acum, dacă ar fi să fim un pic cârcotași și să privim un pic în perspectiva schimbărilor sau, mă rog, actualității geopolitice, când standardele, când legile, când toate elementele astea par acum că nu mai au nicio valoare, și nu vreau să fiu nici cârcotaș, nici să zic cum e un proverb românesc, țara arde și baba să pieptănă. Deci dacă ar fi să ne luăm după standardele domnului Trump acum, ce mama naibii îmi trebuie mie standardul ăsta, când ăsta calcă în picioare toate legile internaționale și toate, știu și eu, normele care au fost până acum în vigoare. Noi trebuie să ne gândim și să acționăm cumva în interesul nostru, în primul rând, pentru că e clar, ne interesează, în primul rând, ce se întâmplă cu noi, dar trebuie să privim puțin problema în ansamblu, la nivelul societății. Și tocmai cred că aici vine valoarea adăugată a acestui standard, pentru că el este un standard global. El nu se aplică doar celui care prestează, el se aplică atât în perspectiva noastră ca și consultant, dar și pentru client. Este foarte real. Ce mi-aș dori acum? Colega noastră, Mihalicz, o să încerce să facă cumva o punte între acest standard și cum am putea mai pragmatic, mai practic să aplicăm noi în activitatea noastră profesională. Da? Și mă aștept ca după prezentarea ei, invitații de astăzi, să ne ajute cumva să înțelegem, pentru că lăsând la o parte caracterul foarte heterogen al consultanței. Majoritatea consultanților din România fac management de proiect, fac management pentru proiecte europene. Știm foarte bine treaba asta. Noi încă din asta trăim foarte bine. Lăsând la o parte activitatea voastră a CMC-urilor care faceți consultanță la nivel global. Noi încă majoritatea consultanților facem consultanță la nivel național, ca să spunem așa, și mare parte din activitatea noastră se referă la și se reflectă în consultanța fondurilor europene. Urmează o nouă perioadă de programare. Sunt schimbări majore în toată Europa în momentul ăsta. Nu știm cum va arăta Europa peste 5 ani, peste 10 ani de zile. Cred că trebuie și noi cumva să prevenim, trebuie cumva să fim pregătiți pentru aceste schimbări și obișnuindu-ne noi cu aceste standarde, putem mai departe să-i atragem și pe ceilalți lângă noi. Dacă până acum am fost obișnuiți să facem doar ceea ce ne convine, doar ceea ce ne aduce un avantaj imediat, cred că e momentul să gândim puțin în perspectivă, pentru că lucrurile se schimbă rapid și dacă n-ai un element de stabilitate, dacă n-ai un element care să-ți creeze clar niște linii directoare, niște reguli de bun simț până la urmă, nu mai știm încotro să o luăm, nu mai știm care sunt valorile.
Ok, Luigi, am înțeles. Acum trebuie să întrebăm pe Nick și pe Dwight dacă traducerea a fost ok și au înțeles despre ce e vorba și o să rugăm pe Mihaela să povestească pe scurt, că am depășit termenul și să-i întreb dacă mai au timp sau nu au timp. Nick are cu siguranță, nu știu, Dwight, că el e liber muncitor. So, Nick, have you understood? Did you get the translation?
I think so. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, Dwight, do you still have a little time to look at something and criticize or comment or whatever after that?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting also for the others. It's not only for us. Huh? Dwight, is okay?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, good. So, Mihaela, the floor is yours, I understand.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm a little bit surprised. I have no presentation prepared. I'm in the board meeting today, but anyhow, I don't know if I should speak in English or Romanian.
I think English is better because
Okay.
I think the translation into Romanian is okay, and I want to make sure that our foreign guests understand the situation and can contribute.
Okay, so I will try to keep it extremely briefly on that. And coming from my previous experiences, I have been working for the last 20 years. Before the 5 years, I'm in consultancy in the Central Public Administration. So I used to be a client, and in a client in need of strategic consultancy, not let's say a project management consultancy, but strategic consultancy, as I have been negotiating with the European Commission the partnership agreements for almost three financial exercises. So what Nick has said, the fact that proposing these standards to the consultants may be a way, but probably the best is to promote these standards and certification towards the clients and the value of this certification for the clients. Because what I see in the last 2 to 3 years, and it's not only in Romania, but since we are providing consultancy services at regional level, especially Western Balkans and Central and Eastern Europe. Sometimes we have the idea that the clients really don't know what to ask, maybe also due to automation and some sort of instruments that yet they are still hallucinating a little bit. And we have seen some bad examples in using AI in consultancy. So I think that one of the proposals that maybe should be taken into account at Romanian level in AMCOR meetings and also in your board meetings would be how to promote this certification for the clients, and to really understand that AI or other different types of equipment, let's say, and software, etc., they are pretty much instruments. I've just been a full day in discussing AI in professional services, as we are a group of 20 companies, and we have in the group one company that is promoting AI, and the others we are doing consultancy services, professional services, so somehow we are colliding. Yet we really understand that we can work together as long as we take this technology as an instrument and not as a purpose in itself. And here I think we should be extremely careful. So what I promote, let's say, is first of all to try to convince the clients that this type of standards and certifications are something that they can use, and then for sure we will be trained and we will take this certification. And this would clear a little bit the environment that we have, because everybody now it's a consultant, whatever that means. And we should promote ethics also in our profession, honestly. Probably due to specific instruments, I've seen for the last 2 years a really loss of ethics in our profession, starting from pricing and other sort of let's say, behavior. On the other hand, I think that we should be really thinking on how we are going to use AI. And also here, it's a matter of ethics, and we have seen the disaster. So we shouldn't reject this instrument, but really propose some principles and values that should be used by the profession in taking on board the new technologies. Thank you very much.
No, I thank you. I think that it's a very good argument in favor to what we have discussed today. Nick, go ahead.
Well, all I really want to say is thank you very much, Sorin, for organising this. I think, I hope it's been a very useful session for everybody. It certainly has been for me to see so many people on board. Thank you very much to Mr. Petre Luigi Luican for his kind words in summary. And thank you for everybody who's participated and listened to us. Mulțumesc.
What do you think about what Mihaela said? I think that there is not too much to comment. It has to be done. That's all.
Absolutely. I can only really say 2 words or 3 words. Let's do it.
Okay. Dwight, what do you think about what Mihaela told us?
I'm also totally on side. She's added the extra element that I didn't mention because I talked about ISO 20700 as the first step in the profession, but I think she's right. It's actually becoming a member of an institute and signing the code of conduct. So that's the first step, that you recognize this is a profession, and then the next step is to start getting accredited, which starts with ISO 20700.
Okay, so it seems that Mihaela has a weak connection. However, everything was recorded so you can see yourself in the movie.
Yes.
Okay, so I think that we have exceeded a little bit the time that we have proposed. I'm sure that if I wouldn't stop you, we should continue for much longer. But I have paid them only until now, so that's it. So don't ask more money, okay? I have an invitation from Nick to go to Vienna in one evening and have a glass of wine with them, with the condition that I'm paying it. So maybe I'm taking that.
Thank you, Sorin,
Okay.
for organizing this.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy that you have been able to be part of this, and I hope it was okay. The messages are good, so it seems that we have put something on the table which is necessary and useful. Thank you for the two friends of mine, which are excellent speakers. You know them very well, and everything is going to be put on the YouTube channels of AMCOR and ICMCI. You can
Of course.
look again at what things we have said. Okay, take care. Have a good evening, afternoon, morning, or wherever you are. So let's start from that and keep in touch and have a good year. Thank you.
Take care,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.